Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Gray and today I'll be presenting my impressions on the new Bravely Default 2 demo on the Nintendo Switch. Bravely Default is for all intents and purposes a new quote-unquote classic Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy has taken quite a few turns these years with the shift to a more action-focused gameplay, just like Kingdom Hearts but slower and clunkier. Bravely Default is a series by Square Enix, the same company that makes Final Fantasy and a lot of other JRPGs, which aims to bring back the feeling of playing a classic Final Fantasy, harkening back to the good old turn-based combat. For the people who are out of the loop, Final Fantasy is a JRPG that was known to change the way the traditional turn-based games are played, by adding a new mechanic with each entry. Final Fantasy VI had the active time battle, which is a pseudo real-time combat, while 7 added limit breaks, and so on. Bravely Default innovates on that combat system by adding what they call Brave Points. It's a system that allows you to skip your turn in order to attack twice or 3 times on the next turn. This might seem simple, but later on you'll see that encounters get more and more interesting as you play. Starting with the graphics, the game looks 50-50 in my opinion. I liked it in some aspects and disliked it in others. First, I absolutely loved the art style of the game. Each drawing offered is fantastic and reminds me of Yoshitaka Amano's painting for Final Fantasy. They all have this iconic style to them that screams Final Fantasy. The same vibes also applies to the backgrounds in the game. As the game mixed 2D backgrounds with 3D characters, the backgrounds look vibrant and detailed. They literally are paintings you get to explore. The transition between towns and the townhouses is as seamless as can be, creating this seamless world that's filled with goodies to explore. The menus and everything UI related are also great. Everything is nice and readable. The textures in each menu screen is a nice touch, offering this paper-like texture when checking the attributes of characters and adding layers of menus as paper. Overall, good work here by the art team. The 3D part of the game is where I have issues. More specifically, the characters. The game opts with a chibi-like aesthetic to the characters that I think is overused in Square Enix games, as they lack detail and give the game a cheap, low-budget feel. The creatures around the world look fantastic, as they have some nice animation tied to them, which gives them a nice living feel, as they never felt like they're static objects. The game also uses the Unreal Engine 4, which means it has some nice shadows and lighting effects that comes with that engine. The soft lighting in dungeons adds a lot to the atmosphere and general mood of the game. Spells and attacks also have some nice animations and lighting tied to them. You can feel the impact between the spell levels as the normal fire looks different than the upgraded fire run. Graphically, the game looks great, especially for a Switch title. It's a shame that the devs went with a chibi look, as I feel it's overused recently and damages the game's uniqueness in the aesthetic department.
Come, do your worst.
Crossing that desert was pretty tough going. You okay, Gloria?
I have no complaints about the game's sound design. The voice acting is good. The voices fit with each of the characters well. It's not jarring like it is in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The sounds of the creatures and spells is also good. Nothing bad and nothing great. It just does the job and it does it well. The soundtrack, however, is very good. The title screen music is as majestic and grand as they come. The game has this orchestral sound to it. The music in towns especially appealed to me as it had this Eastern vibe to it that I liked. Combat music is tense, filling the audible spectrum with electric guitars and bass on top of the orchestra to create this intense music that reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy VI battle theme in some parts, which is great. However, I hadn't noticed anything catching my attention. Nothing stuck with me after the demo, which is a bummer to say the least, but it doesn't affect the game at all. Gameplay wise, Bravely Default is great, while I have some complaints here that are exclusive to the demo versions of the game. The game is a classic Final Fantasy, down to the name of the spells. While I feel like I don't need to explain what Final Fantasy is, the key feature to any JRPG is its combat. It's also here where Bravely Default excels. As mentioned in the intro of the video, the combat includes a mechanic called Brave Points. When you begin a battle, all your team members will have 0 BP. You can choose to either attack or default. Defaulting in this game is like defending in other RPGs. However, when you choose to default, you gain 1 BP, capping out at 3. You can also use these Brave Points for certain abilities or use them to attack more than once per turn. You can attack up to 4 times with these points. You can also have negative BP, which also caps out at -3. This makes you skip a turn until you revert back to 0. This mechanic makes battles interesting, as if you know a monster's weakness, you can quickly exploit it to rid it from the battlefield. You can also heal up to 3 times if you're in trouble, or even resurrect multiple party members in a turn. The simple addition adds so much complexity and variety to the battles, as you can default 3 times in a row, then unleash a huge combo without skipping turns, as you will be left with 0 BP. Your enemies can also charge up their BP, which can lead to interesting scenarios and team wipes if you're not careful. Complementing this mechanic is the job system. The job system is nice as it allows you to choose what job or class a character is. You can pick one main job and a sub job, allowing you to use the abilities unlocked in your sub job to add a little spice to your gameplay. Each job has multiple levels. It caps out at level 7 in the demo. Each level brings with it abilities, some active and other passive. Each passive abilities has a slot level, and you can only have a set number of slots for each character in the demo. This caps out at 3, so you can have 3 level 1 passives or 1 level 1 and 1 level 2. Passives are shared between jobs, so you can have a passive ability that has nothing to do with the jobs you chose as main and sub. This creates an incentive to level up other jobs in order to utilize their passives. As an example, a level 7 white mage has a 20% lower MP usage as a passive, so I had my black mage leveling white magic in order to use this passive to my advantage. There are 5 jobs in this demo, and you can unlock an extra one when you finish the demo. I love the class system as it gives a lot of variety to the builds each character can have. The only thing I disliked here is that the sub job doesn't gain XP after battles, as the XP only goes to your main job, which leads to some unnecessary farming. My only complaint is when you first open up the game, it greets you with a message that tells you that the game is harder than normal, in order for you to experience and enjoy the battle mechanics. While it was enjoyable, I felt like it's a bit too difficult, resulting in me farming creatures early game in order to max out my levels, which took a long time and was not a pleasant experience. After completing the demo, a secret boss and an associated quest gets unlocked. This boss was so hard that I honestly could not beat it. Now, I'm not the best JRPG gamer out there, but this boss really gave me a hard time. However, it didn't feel unfair, as his moveset is manageable, but I still haven't grasped the mechanics fully, and the added difficulty didn't help. There also is a hidden optional boss that I won't show here in order to preserve the mystery. Overall, I really enjoyed this demo, and I'm looking forward for the full release of the game. The graphics are beautiful and the atmosphere was great. The soundtrack was also well made and had some nice ambience and variety, especially in a demo. The gameplay is what sold me here, as I really liked the way you can exploit battles to your advantage by utilizing your turns. And the job system offered a really amazing variety. I'm really hyped to experience it later this year, and I hope it will release on other platforms, as they released Octopath Traveler on PC, and I generally don't like the ideas of exclusives or platform lock games. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like down below. Also subscribe, because that'll help you out a lot, and I appreciate that you made it this far. Thank you and goodbye.